Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hey, we're going to do a how-to video today. It's how to change the oil on a 2019 Peterbilt 389 with the Cummins X15 performance motor. And there's the motor. Let's go over some stuff you're going to need. You're going to need, this is the wrench for the fuel filter. You're going to need this wrench here to get off the other fuel filter in your oil filter. You need 11 gallons of oil, which I am running Amsoil. You need a fuel filter, pre-filter, and a oil filter. You're also going to need something to put your oil in. And then you also got to drain the oil over there into something else. So let's go ahead, let's get this started. Changing the oil on these is not very difficult. I don't think so, at least. All you do is you're going to take your oil pan, you're going to sit it underneath the oil. This is the oil pan for the motor, and then obviously we're draining it in here. So for mine, I have a quick release for my oil. Otherwise you just pull this plug. For mine, all I got to do is open it, and as you see, the oil that was in the motor starts coming out. You'll want to keep an eye on it, that way you don't overfill it. And then I always vent where the oil fill cap is. Somebody has asked me on another video, it's right here is the oil fill. Your dipstick is right here. So I pull it out, and that's it. We'll come back at you whenever we're ready to start changing out filters and moving forward. Alright, now we're going to change out the fuel filters while that's finishing draining. Right here on top, you loosen that cap. And then right down here is a drain. Right there. Just drain it into a bucket. So while that's draining, what you're going to do is you're going to take the tool, you're going to put it back on there, and then you're going to loosen it. They can be kind of tight, so that's loosened. I'm doing all this one-handed. Normally it's something I do two-handed, but so I leave that drain open because whenever I pull this filter off like this, it's going to have more fluid come out. Now these Davco filters, I don't care what brand you use, but this always likes to stay on there. Make sure you get that off. Go ahead and shut your drain. Now we're going to come over here and grab our new filter. And all you do is you line that up with that right there, and then push it down. Alright, now let's come over to the cover. That goes down. Take the old gasket off. Your filter should come with a gasket set. I always replace them no matter what, no matter how cold I've done this in some real negative weather before. This is the one thing I've always changed. So that's on. Let me see if I can do this. Now I'm going to take this back up without pushing that O-ring out. Make sure that O-ring stays in its spot. And then you're going to take that top piece off. See, there's an O-ring. Take it out. The new one, I always just put it back on the cap cover, and then I get it started like that. And then we come back over here, and all we're going to do is put that back on. See if I can set you up on a tire. And then we just come back over here and tighten it down. Take this here, tighten it down. And if you listen, you'll hear a click. Did you hear the click? We'll do it one more time. Oh. Alright. And all I do is I make sure this is snugged on. You don't have to be an Iron Man and put it on as tight as you possibly can, but it does need to snug up on there. Alright, so that's all changed on that one. So now what we're going to do, we're going to move that bucket out of the way. I'm going to move my oil drain pan over to somewhat hopefully catch all of the fuel that's going to come out of the main filter of it. We grab the wrench. So when you put your filter wrench on it, behind there's some wires. Make sure you don't get those. If you break any of those, you may be in trouble. So let's go ahead and take this one off. They didn't give you a whole lot of room in here to work either. So. Big thing when you take these filters off, make sure this gasket on the top, I'll show you on the new one, comes off with it. We'll just let that drain right into our pan. Clean the fuel off my hands. We're going to show you how to prime this system up as well. Now remember, I do not have any oil in the motor, so whatever you do at this point, do not start the motor. Alright. So what we're going to do now is put on the new fuel filter. Once again, it needs to be on there snug. You do not have to force it on. Do not over tighten it. The fuel filter goes in. Sometimes they can be a pain lining up the threads. And today's going to be that day that it doesn't want to line up. I do use Carquest filters. Alright, let me come back at you here in a minute. Alright, now we're going to prime it. You have 2 priming nipples right there. Take a little bit of screwdriver and a rag so it doesn't spray all over you. Push them in and it'll let the air out of them. If you don't put a rag over it, you may end up getting fuel all over you. So you're gonna hold that in, and most time on my truck I have to turn that key on twice to actually get it fully primed up. But we'll see what it does. So we're kicking all that air out. What we're doing also is we're putting fuel into that filter. So alright, there's one. Let's do it again. You want to keep going until you have a full stream of fuel just shooting out of there. That's when you know that you've got your truck primed. Now, if your truck doesn't start right away after you do this, you may need to turn the key on. You don't have to keep priming it, but you may need to turn the key on and let it cycle itself through about 30 seconds and do that twice. And then your truck should always fire right up for you on these Cummins. Alright, so now we've got a stream coming out of that one. Let's check the secondary one line. Okay, we've got a stream here. Double check here. We've got a stream there. Alright, so now we are fully primed up. So we'll just go ahead and I'm going to turn the key off and we'll come right back at you guys here in a minute, and we're going to do the fuel filter and I'll show you how to do that. Alright, now we're on the passenger side. We're going to take this oil filter off. These can be a pain to put on as well. Most of the time, if anything's going to be a problem taking off, it's the fuel filter, not the oil filter is the one putting the paint on. So let's get this one off. Once again, I'm already looking to make sure the gasket came with it. Dump the oil into the drain. I'm gonna let that drain for just a minute. That way we're letting all the old oil get out. And while it's doing that, we're going to go ahead and start prepping up the new oil filter that we're going to put on here. So, over here. What we're going to do is we're going to take out this new oil filter. Take the wrapper off of it. And we're going to take this gallon jug of oil. And all we're going to do is we're going to fill the brand new filter. The reason to do this is that way you have oil pressure right from the beginning. You also want to put oil around the gasket of that oil filter, that way it's easy to take off. I said, the oil filter is normally the one I have the most difficulty getting on. If anyone knows the secret to make it easier, let me know. Alright, I'll come back at you guys once I get it on. Alright, now we're going to put the oil in the motor. This is exactly 11 gallons. That includes what's in the oil filter on the other side. So I've already put in my filler. So now we're going to put the rest of the gallon in the motor. Big thing is you need to make sure that you did put the plug in on the other side or underneath the truck. You know, that way you're not just putting oil in and it draining right back out of the bottom of the motor. So that'd be bad, big waste of money. So we'll go ahead and we'll throw in all 11 gallons, and they put these seals on the tops. Sometimes they don't want to come off. Today just has not been my day. Normally these aren't this hard to get off, but I guess today they wanted to be. So we'll just make a cut in it. And we'll take them off that way. Alright. Now when you're pouring your oil in, don't go too fast, because it will only go down so fast down into the motor. So if you go too fast, you'll end up overfilling your funnel, and then you'll lose all that brand new oil. And if you've ever done an oil change on one of these, it's not cheap to do it. Not something you really want to be wasting your money throwing away by getting in too big of a hurry. Big thing that you're going to do is, after you've thrown your oil all in and you start your truck, is you want to start looking immediately to make sure you don't have any oil leaks at all. If you got an oil leak, you need to go ahead and shut it off. Figure out what you didn't get tightened down, go tighten it down, and then try it again. But you got to make sure that you check your oil levels and all that to make sure that you're not overflowed on oil at all. You got to make sure you're also full. I've noticed with my truck, I do have higher oil pressure for a little while right after I do an oil change. I'm not quite sure why, but all I know is I do have higher oil pressure right after the oil change. Okay, so we've passed the halfway point. I'm putting oil in. We've got 2 more of these to go. These jugs I'm pouring in here now are 2.5 gallons a piece. I have 4 of them. And then I have the gallon. That equals 11 gallons total. I do run Amsoil in all my personal vehicles. I run it in my Harley. I have some side-by-sides I run it in. To me, it's the best oil out there. This is not a sponsored video by any kind. If Amsoil wants to sponsor it, I'm not going to say no. It'd be nice. I run a lot of their products, so if you want Amsoil and you don't know how to get it, get a hold of me. I am a dealer for it, but we can get you set up to get it yourself for your shop. To me, it's just the best oil you could possibly be running. And when this is your life, this is how you make all your money to provide for yourself, your family. You should be running the best you could possibly get. That's just my opinion. and I think my opinion's correct, but everyone's entitled to one of those. Alright, so this is the last gallon of oil, or 2.5 gallons of oil. Alright, so all the oil is now in. What we're going to do now is I'm going to let that set down into the motor. I'm going to go back through everything real quick before we start the motor up. I'm going to check to make sure everything's tight, and then we'll come back at you guys and we'll start it up together. Alright, be back in a minute. Alright, let's fire it up. Let's see what it does. Alright, it's on. So what we're looking for is, I already washed it, but we're looking to see if any fuel is leaking. Make sure we're not leaking any oil out of the oil pan. Now we're going to go look at the oil filter. It's dirty, but we're not leaking. Alright, so we're going to let that run for just a minute, but everything looks good on it. Looks the way it's supposed to look. I hope this helps you out with learning how to change the oil on your Cummins motor. If you have questions, leave them in the comments and we'll get back to you. Don't forget, like, subscribe to the channel. And next time we do a video, we'll do one about greasing the truck. Alright, thanks. Have a good day.